Hi, it's Leslie Meredith with Breakbulk Events and Media, and I'm here in our Masters Lounge with our panelists from our recently concluded EXIM Bank panel. Very important, and I'd like to start with introducing Stephen Renna, who's come to us from Washington, D.C., the EXIM Bank's Chief Banking Officer.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. You want to just give our audience a little idea about what you do and where we are on the whole reauthorization process.
Okay, so I'm the Chief Banking Officer at EXIM, and it's basically I'm responsible for overseeing all the products that EXIM provides to exporters, whether it's on the small business side or medium and long term. So reauthorization, basically I'll just sum it up to say that the EXIM Bank is authorized, even though it's an independent agency, it's authorized by Congress for usually a 5-year term. Could be longer this time around. Our 5-year authorization term expired at the end of September, but was extended by Congress along with the continuing resolution spending bill. So basically, Congress has a very big task ahead of it, and that is to complete its fiscal year 2020 appropriations bills that fund the U.S. government. That is going to be a legislative vehicle that is going to draw along with it a number of other legislative actions. Amongst those, we hope and expect the outcome to be will be a reauthorization of EXIM. So as a sub piece of that omnibus spending legislation will be EXIM reauthorization. What we don't know right now is how long, what our EXIM authorization caps will be, and a few other things. But for the most part, we're very optimistic about reauthorization occurring. We're a little less clear on exactly what those terms might be, but November 21st is the date by which Congress has to complete its spending bills, and by derivation, by when they would have to complete action on EXIM.
Okay, excellent. I'd like to ask Marco and Bill, who have worked tirelessly on getting the reauthorization through. That happened in May. Now we're doing it again. But in this interim period from today until November 21st, what can companies that are involved in the project cargo industry, is there anything that they can do to help propel this along?
Yes, we have a couple of fence centers out there still, and it's not lobbying. You're not lobbying if you're calling your own congressman or senator. And we have 2 senators, one of them that's Texas that's supporting EXIM Bank, one that's not. But it would be very helpful if as a constituent now, not as a lobbyist, that you made your thoughts be known. We need more of that, and you can make a big difference. We had we were able to get on the Republican side 7 or 9 congressmen from Texas to support the last reauthorization. We need to do better than that this time. So that's my thoughts. But you can get involved. Your voice matters to these politicians.
Absolutely. That's good. Marco, what do you have to say?
Speaking as the chairman of the Exporter Competitive Council, which was founded in 1996, it is a shipper organization. This organization was very active in informing and we sent a number of letters with Bill's help and his guidance. It is not a lobbyist organization, to be clear. We were advocating and informing the importance of EXIM Bank to members of Congress and to a number of visitors. Speaking as UTC, I just have to thank Breakbulk, because having this panel consistently while EXIM Bank was in doubt was, I think, critical to get information out on how important it is to our industry. And also to have, in this conference, it's exciting to have a member of EXIM Bank come down from Washington for it. So thank you.
I'd like John and Rami to weigh in just on what the existence of the EXIM Bank and the credit agency means to your business as an EPC.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. It's of incredible interest to us, as EXIM Bank has been a key ingredient to some of our most successful projects that we've done over the last decade. And having them back in the front means that we can now competitively bid our U.S. supply chain in large capital global infrastructure projects worldwide. And it just has the advantage of being able to bring to these jobs your partners and the companies that play a part in these projects that you've had relationships for 2 decades or so, that are predictable, reliable, and make us more competitive. So it's a tremendous advantage. I made the analogy before with EXIM Bank not being fully operational over the last few years. It's akin to having the Houston Texans in the NFL. The only way that they can play in the NFL is if they played all of their games on the road and that they had no home games. So that's just what it's meant to our supply chain, is essentially that we've been on the road for a long time, and now it's imperative that we have the bank back supporting U.S. companies and U.S. manufacturers, because there's an entire world out there that supports their own supply chain. In 2019, everybody is trying to win the race for global leadership to support their economies through exporting. So it's great to have EXIM back in the forefront, promoting interests of U.S. companies.
I'm up here on a panel, and my company is definitely the smallest company that is represented up here today. And I think it's very important for us to realize that EXIM does help large corporations. It does help Caterpillar and Boeing and some other corporations, which is great. Those are American blue chip companies, but it also helps companies like mine. We are 20 employees. Before EXIM Bank, our sales hovered between $5 and $6 million a year. We topped out a couple years ago at $63 million, and that really was due to our support with EXIM Bank. I'm not here just representing my company. We have 20 employees in Houston. I'm representing the dozens of companies that we represent. Those companies would have no avenue into selling their products in North Africa without us, and in turn EXIM Bank, helping open those doors into them. So it's not just me representing CECA, it's me and my company representing all of the other manufacturers that we have behind us. I can tell you for sure, if EXIM Bank were to go away, we would immediately start reducing the number of projects we were to work on a year. When a project comes to us, I immediately look at it, and based on our 20-year history, I can look at it and say, we've got a 90% chance of winning this project, a 70% chance of winning this project, all the way down to 30 or 40%. With the support of EXIM Bank, I'm comfortable quoting projects that we have a 40% chance on and up, because it's worth it. However, without EXIM Bank, I would only be looking at quoting the projects, let's say we have a 75% chance up and winning, because we know the chances are greatly increased with the support of EXIM Bank.
Excellent. Dennis, did you have a question?
I do, thank you. So Stephen, my name's Dennis Mottola. I spent the last 21 years of my career with Bechtel Corporation, and Bechtel's been a frequent user of EXIM Bank for beneficiary, of EXIM Bank. And over the last few years, when we didn't have a quorum, suffered somewhat in losing projects to other company or other ECAs. I think part of the problem that has always been that EXIM has always suffered with, and particularly over the last several years while the bank was, I'll say, out of business for large projects, for mega projects, was the mischaracterization of EXIM Bank in supporting only big businesses. And I would venture to say that 75, 80, maybe 90% of the companies that are at this conference will benefit by EXIM Bank being back in business, because all of that work just flows down the supply chain and the logistics chain. What is your plan for trying to correct maybe that mischaracterization of EXIM Bank being only a beneficiary to the very largest businesses, that we know is not the case.
Should I use that microphone or?
Well, I think you made the point perfectly in your comments, right? It's a very simple argument to make that one, Bechtel is not a user of the bank, it's a beneficiary of the bank because EXIM is financing the project or the borrower or the buyer of whatever your products or services are for that particular endeavor. And the fact that there is a tremendous supply chain to any project that you're engaged in or any project that McDermott's engaged in or any large company has a tremendous supply chain. One of the things we hear from opponents of EXIM is, oh, you're the bank of Boeing. Well, we do have a lot of airplane financings in our portfolio, but not one of those loans went to Boeing. The loans guarantees that we provide go to the airlines that are buying Boeing planes. And who is the competitor to Boeing? Airbus. Airbus has the UK, the German, and the French export credit agencies supporting Airbus's bids for sales of aircraft to a particular airline. Anywhere you go around the world where any airline is looking to acquire new aircraft, it's a Boeing Airbus competition. So, you know, if we're not there on behalf of the airlines that are seeking to acquire a Boeing product, then Airbus is going to have an advantage just by the fact that Airbus is being backed by Airbus's bid has financing from an export credit agency that is supporting Airbus. The other thing I would say is that with respect to our small business products, we do about $3 billion of small business financing directly, not through the supply chain, but directly to small businesses, whether it's in the form of export credit insurance or whether it's in the form of working capital loans. So we already have a strong presence in the small business sector, but want that to be even greater. And we're working on that right now. We're spending millions of dollars on an outreach campaign for small business right now. We're employing technology and individuals to do a better job for us to reach the small business community directly and make sure they understand what EXIM can do for them with our various products. And the argument that you make about supply chain for the larger companies that we're providing financing to their customers for, we make that all the time. Most of the time, though, that argument is raised by political opponents who really don't want to hear the answer. They just want to say it and create noise out there that we have to now try to deal with. But they're not actually looking for the answer to that and been saying, well, what is the answer to this question that, you know, you're the bank of Boeing or you're the, you know, only support large companies?
Thank you so much. I'd like to thank all of you for being here, and I'm sure we will get this word out to support the real reauthorization, right? In November, that's what we're hoping, and giving us a better understanding of how many companies and individuals are affected by the EXIM Bank and your financing. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.